Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the first episode of Indiana Jake Live. And I don't know if my wife's going to join me and might make a surprise appearance. We're just going to go over and play this by ear and see how it goes. Exciting times for me, actually. I have retired from working for others right now and have started my own business. This is actually my classroom right here. The whole place is full of uh, English language text. This is a vocabulary book, actually, full of all sorts of textbooks. And we're gathering up clients and getting a business started. But on the side, right now, I have tons of free time. So I thought that I'd really try and get something going here running a webcast. So that is what we're going to do here. So waiting to see if anybody shows up. I thought I would just start things up here with doing something public domain, and I thought, why not do some Aesop's Fables? Is it Aesop or Aesop? I think it's Aesop, so that's how I'm going to go with it. So there's some classic ones everyone knows, but I thought there's a whole bunch of ones I've never heard of. So I'm going to be reading off of Project Gutenberg, which are all just public domain works. And we'll see if we got a few you've never heard of, and we'll find some lessons. I'll analyze them as we go along. So here we go. Right here, I'm just on the main Project Gutenberg page. Oh, let's see. Should I just start at the top? Why not? Okay. Okay, here we go. Aesop's Fables, number 1, The Wolf and the Lamb. Okay. Wolf, meeting with a lamb astray from the fold, resolved not to lay violent hands on him, but to find some plea to justify to the lamb Wolf's right to eat him. He thus addressed him, Sirrah, last year you grossly insulted me. Indeed, pleaded the lamb in a mournful tone of voice. I was not then born. Then said the wolf, you feed in my pasture. No good, sir, replied the lamb. I have not yet tasted grass. Again said the wolf, you drink of my well. No, exclaimed the lamb, I have never yet drank water. As for my mother's milk is both food and drink to me. Upon which the wolf seized him and ate him up, saying, well, I won't remain supperless, even though you refute every one of my imputations. The tyrant will always find a pretext for his tyranny. Well, that one's pretty straightforward. You can go over and answer everything your enemy has to say to you, but your enemy's still going to do what he's going to do. So, pretty straightforward, I guess. You're probably not going to reason with an enemy that's going to do you harm. Fairly solid, I would guess. All right. Next Aesop fable. The Bat and the Weasels. Okay. A bat fell upon the ground and was caught by a weasel, pleaded to be spared his life. The weasel refused, saying that he was by nature the enemy of all birds. The bat assured him he was not a bird but a mouse, and thus was set free. Shortly afterwards, the bat again fell to the ground and was caught by another weasel, whom he likewise entreated not to eat him. The weasel said that he had a special hostility to mice, but the bat assured him that he was not a mouse, but a bat, and thus a second time escaped. It is wise to turn circumstances to good account. So the bat is pretty smart, okay? He escapes the first weasel by saying he's a mouse, and that gets him off the hook with that one. But the second weasel doesn't like mice either. So he just goes over and says he's a bat. And he gets off with that one. So know your enemy, I guess. That one's the lesson. Know thy enemy. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know this one. Okay. The ass and the grasshopper. An ass was he heard some grasshoppers chirping and was highly enchanted, desiring to possess the same charms of melody, demanded what sort of food they lived on to give them such beautiful voices. They replied, the dew. The ass resolved that he would live only upon dew, and in short time died of hunger. Okay, well, the donkey here is a real donkey. Okay. All right, he should have noticed he was starving to death and figured out that the dew wasn't cutting it. I guess the lesson here, watch out for bad advice. All right. Okay, here's one most people know. All right, this one's a pretty well known one here. Okay, the lion and the mouse. A lion was awakened from sleep by a mouse running over his face. Rising up angrily, he caught him and was about to kill him when the mouse piteously entreated, saying, if you would only spare my life, I would be sure to repay your kindness. The lion laughed and let him go. It happened shortly after this that the lion was caught by some hunters who bound him by strong ropes to the ground. The mouse, recognizing his roar, came and gnawed the rope with his teeth. Like that. And set him free, exclaiming, you ridiculed the idea of my ever being able to help you, not expecting to receive from me any repayment of your favor. Now you know that it is possible for even a mouse to confer benefits on a lion. And that one's a pretty straightforward one. Everyone knows that one, really. It's kind of a pay it forward one. Okay, go over and you help out, do someone a favor today, and they might do you a favor in the future, even if you think it's unlikely. Pretty well known one there. Okay. All right. I'm not sure what. I have to look up a word here actually for this one. The charcoal burner and the fuller. I'm not sure what a fuller is. I'm going to have to look that up and find out what a fuller is. 1 second here. I'll look that one up. What is a fuller? Person who fulls cloth. What does it mean to full cloth? Workman who cleans and thickens. Okay. A workman who cleans and thickens freshly woven cloth for a living. Okay. All right, so let's read the fable. Okay, the charcoal burner and the fuller. A charcoal burner carried on his trade in his own house. One day he met a friend, a fuller, and entreated him to come and live with him, saying that they should be far better neighbors and their housekeeping expenses would be lessened. The fuller reported, your arrangement is impossible as far as I am concerned, for whatever I should whiten, you would immediately blacken again with your charcoal. Like will draw like. Well, yeah, okay. So a fuller goes over and cleans cloth, and someone who's burning charcoal is going to go over it and cover it in soot. So it wouldn't make sense for them to be roommates. Okay. Okay. clear enough. And I learned a word. It's always good to learn words. I've been an English teacher for 20 years, and I still go over and learn words I've never seen before. Keep learning. Keep learning. That's the key. Okay. Next fable is a father and his sons. All right. So, okay. A father had a family of sons who were perpetually quarreling among themselves. When he failed to heal their disputes with his exhortations, he determined to give them a practical illustration of the evils of disunion. And for this purpose, he told them to bring him a bundle of sticks. When they had done so, he placed I can't use that word these days, but it means sticks tied together, into the hands of each in succession and ordered them to break it into pieces. When they tried with all their strength, they were not able to do it. Next, he opened the bundle of sticks and took his sticks out separately, each one by one, and put them in his son's hands, upon which they broke them easily. He then addressed them the words, "My sons, if you are of one mind and unite to assist each other, you will be this bundle of sticks, uninjured by all your attempts of your enemies. But if you are divided among yourselves, you'll be broken as easily as these sticks." Well, that one's got some language that you can't use exactly, but the meaning of the thing isn't what it means now. Anyway, what it's saying is stick together. If you stick together, you won't be broken, but if you're apart, you're easy to break. That's also got some other associations with the 20th century that I'll stay away from, but so there's some good and bad in that one. I'll just steer clear of that one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the boy hunting locusts. Okay, a boy was hunting for locusts. He had caught a goodly number when he saw a scorpion and, mistaking him for a locust, reached out his hand to take him. The scorpion, showing his sting, said, "If you had but touched me, my friend, you would have lost me and all your locusts too." Huh. He saw a scorpion, mistaking him, but reached out his hand to take him. I guess you'd have lost. If you had but touched, I guess the scorpion shows the stinger and goes over and warns him. I guess the boy does not touch the scorpion, so I guess it's like be observant. And I guess from the scorpion's perspective, it's like make it known that you're ready to defend yourself. And from the boy's perspective, it's watch out and pay attention to what you're doing. I guess has hit. I'm worried about saying this word also. I'm just going to change that word to, okay, I'm going to call this the rooster and the jewel. Okay. A rooster, scratching for food for himself and his hens, found a precious stone and exclaimed, "If your owner had found thee and not I, he would have taken thee up, and I would have set thee on thy estate. But you have found thee for no purpose. I would have one barley corn than all these jewels in the world." Okay, let's see. So I guess, yeah, let's see. So, yeah, so the message here is that the rooster goes over and is looking for looking for food. He goes over and finds a precious jewel, but it's useless to the rooster, so he finds it worthless. He wishes he had found a piece of barley corn because one piece of barley corn is worth more to him than all the jewels in the world. Okay, straightforward. Okay, now we will continue. All right, the Kingdom of the Lion. All right, all these I've never heard of. Okay, the beasts of the field and the forest had a lion as their king. He was neither wrathful, cruel, nor tyrannical, but just and gentle as a king could be. During his reign, he made a royal proclamation for a general assembly of all the birds and beasts and drew up conditions for a universal league in which the wolf and the lamb, the panther and the kid, the tiger and the stag, the dog and the hare should live together in perfect peace and amity. The hare said, "Oh, how I've longed to see this day in which the weak shall take their place with impunity by the side of the strong." And after the hare said this, he ran for his life. So basically, I think what happens here is the hare realizes that this is a joke and they're going to get eaten. So he gets the heck out of there because this is bad news. I think that's what the story is supposed to be. This is bad news. I'm getting out of here. All right. So the hare is pretty smart in this one. All right. Next, a fable. The Wolf and the Crane. A wolf who had a bone stuck in his throat hired a crane for a large sum to put her head in his mouth and draw out a bone. When the crane extracted the bone and demanded the promised payment, the wolf, grinning and grinding his teeth, exclaimed, "Why, you have surely had a sufficient recompense in having been permitted to draw your head in safely from my mouth and jaws of a wolf. In serving the wicked, expect no reward and be thankful if you escape injury for your pains." Now, that one's pretty self explanatory. Like, don't work for bad people. It's like the crane's basically lucky that the crane didn't get eaten for doing a favor for the wolf. If you work for bad people, bad things may come to you. Pretty clear. Okay. The fisherman piping. Okay. A fisherman skilled in music took his flute and nets to the seashore. Standing on a projecting rock, he played several tunes in hope that the fish, attracted to his melody, would of their own accord dance into his net, which he had placed below. At last, having long waited in vain, he laid aside his flute and, casting his net into the sea, made an excellent haul of fish. When he saw leaping about in the net upon the rock, he said, "Oh, you most perverse creatures! When I piped, you would not dance. But now that I have ceased, you do so merrily." So, oh. Not sure what the moral that's supposed to be. Okay, so they wouldn't dance from he was piping. They're dancing. I guess they're flopping around the net now that he's pulled them out of the stuff. I guess he's kind of offended about the fact they didn't like his music, but now he's caught them and he's going to eat them. So he feels avenged now because he's caught them after they insulted his music. I guess Is that the message? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the moral of that one is supposed to be. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, Hercules and the Wagoner. Okay, Carter was driving a wagon along a country lane when the wheels sank deep into a rut. The rustic driver, stupefied and aghast, stood looking at the wagon and did nothing but utter loud cries to Hercules to come help him. Hercules, it is said, appeared and thus addressed him: "Put your shoulders to the wheels, my man. Goad on your bullocks and never pray to me for help until you have done your best to help yourself. Or depend on it, you will henceforth pray in vain. Self help is your best help." Okay, so he goes over and prays to Hercules for help, but he hadn't tried to fix the problem himself yet. So basically, he should have gone over and tried to go over and fix the problem himself before he went over and tried to get someone else to help him. So try to fix your own problem first before you ask for others for help. Okay. Okay, here's one everybody knows. Everyone knows this story. Okay. The ants and the grasshopper. The ants were spending a fine winter's day drying grain collected in summertime. The grasshopper, perishing with famine, passed by and earnestly begged for a little food. The ants inquired of him, "Why did you not treasure up food during the summer?" He replied, "I had not leisure enough. I passed in the days singing." They then said in derision, "If you were foolish enough to sing all summer, you must dance supperless in bed in the winter." Yeah. Different versions of this story. Yeah, I guess in this one, basically, the grasshopper is going to starve to death. Another, I know in the Disney version, like the ants go over and take him in to be their entertainer. Depends on how kid friendly you want this version to be. Basically, we got to prepare for tomorrow. That's the lesson. Everyone knows that story. Okay, next fable: The Traveler and His Dog. A traveler set about on a journey and saw his dog stand at the door, stretching himself. He asked him sharply, "Why do you stand there gaping? Everything is ready but you, so you come to me instantly." The dog, wagging his tail, replied, "Oh, master, I am quite ready. It is you who is waiting." The loiterer often blames the delay on his most active friend. Okay, so I think this is a situation I've been in myself a whole bunch. Yeah, okay, it's like one person. Yeah, this happens all the time. Like one person is delaying the other person from getting out for an entire hour, and then finally the person who's ready to has been delaying for a whole hour actually gets to the door first, and then that person who's been waiting for a whole hour has to go over and retie their shoes or something, and then the person who's been stalling goes over and says, "Hey, I'm waiting for you." I've been guilty of that one a few times. Yeah, I guess that happened even back in Aesop's days. All right. Next up is The Dog and the Shadow. Okay, actually, before that, I just want to double check and make sure everything's working right on this podcast. No, it's not a podcast, it's a live stream, right? Yeah, just want to make sure we got everything going good here. Do I have? Let's see and make sure. We are broadcasting. Yep, this is live. Okay, we are broadcasting live. Everything appears to be in order. Let me just click on that to see what happens. Okay, looks like we're all in order. Okay, so, all right, so continuing on, the dog and the shadow. A dog crossing a bridge over a stream with a piece of flesh in his mouth saw his own shadow in the water and took it for that of another dog with a piece of meat in his own size. He immediately let go of his own and attacked the other dog to get his larger piece from him. Thus he lost both, that which he grasped at in the water because it was a shadow, and his own because the stream swept it away. So he sees the reflection of the shadow of the meat in his mouth. And he goes over and starts attacking his shadow to get the meat. And when he opens his mouth, the meat falls out. So kind of like don't be greedy and selfish, sort of. Yeah. Okay. So because he's kind of greedy and selfish, he goes over and gets nothing. So that's the lesson. All right. Okay. Okay, yeah, live stream's working good. Just curious what the delay is on this. Pretty good. The delay's only a few seconds. Okay. All right, let's continue. All right. The mole and his mother. Okay. A mole, a creature blind from birth, once said to his mother, I am sure that I can see, mother. In a desire to prove his mistake, the mother placed before him a few grains of frankincense and asked, What is it? The young mole said, It is a pebble. His mother exclaimed, My son, I am afraid that you are not only blind, you have lost your sense of smell. Okay, so yeah, I guess frankincense has a really, frankincense has a strong smell to it. I've never smelled frankincense. If I know it's one of the three gifts in the Bible, three wise men. I'm assuming it has a strong smell to it. But yeah, he's trying to go over and prove that he sees whatever it was placed, and by saying it was a pebble, he's also showing he must not have a sense of smell either if he mistakes the pebble for frankincense, or mistakes the frankincense for a pebble. Okay. Although I'm not sure what the lesson to take from that is, other than people will boast of seeing things they can't see. Okay. The herdsman and the lost bull. All right. A herdsman tending his flock in a forest lost a bull calf from the fold. After a long and fruitless search, he made a vow that if he could only discover the thief who had stolen the calf, he would offer a lamb in sacrifice to Hermes, Pan, and the golden deities of the forest. Not long afterwards, he ascended a small hillock. He saw at its foot a lion feeding on the calf. Terrified at the sight, he lifted his eyes and his hands to heaven, said, Just now I vowed to offer a lamb to the guardian deities of the forest. If only I could find out who had robbed me, but now that I have discovered the thief, I would willingly add a full-grown bull to the calf I have lost. If only I may escape him in safety. Okay, so he thought some dude had gone over and stolen his calf. So it's like, let me at him. I want to find him and poach him. Then he goes over and finds the guy and it's a lion. And now, oh my God, this lion's going to get me. So he's now he's saying, okay, not only will I sacrifice a lamb, I'll sacrifice a full grown bull if I can get out of this situation. So the lesson is be careful what you wish for because you might get it. Okay, now everybody knows this one. Okay, this is one that everybody knows, but let's read it. Okay, next fable: the hare and the tortoise. A hare one day ridiculed the short feet and slow pace of the tortoise, who replied, laughing, "Though you may be swift as the wind, I will beat you in a race." The hare, believing her assertion to be simply impossible, asserted to the proposal, and they agreed that the fox should choose the course and fix the goal. On the day appointed for the race, the two started together. The tortoise never for a moment stopped, but went on a slow but steady pace straight to the end of the course. The hare, lying down by the wayside, fell fast asleep. And at last, waking up and moving as fast as he could, he saw the tortoise had reached the goal and was comfortably dozing after her fatigue. Slow but steady wins the race. I never knew that a fox was involved, but apparently the original has a fox like being the judge or whatever, setting up the course. Everyone knows that one. Slow and steady wins the race. No explanation needed. All right. Okay. Okay. The pomegranate, apple tree, and bramble. What is a bramble? I have no idea what a bramble is. Okay, I'm going to have to look up what a bramble is. Okay. Search Google for bramble. What is a bramble? Bramble is a cocktail. What is a? It looks like a bramble's a type of cocktail, but looks like it's a cocktail made of blackberry. But they might mean blackberries in this case. Blackberry. Okay, so bramble is a blackberry. Okay, now I got it. Okay, brambles are blackberries. Okay, so pomegranate, apple tree, and bramble. Bramble being blackberry. Okay. Okay, the pomegranate and apple tree disputed as to which was the most beautiful. When their strife was at its height, a bramble from the neighboring hedge lifted up its voice and said in the most boastful term, "Pray, my dear friends, in my presence at least cease from such vain disputings." Okay, so I'm guessing the bramble, the blackberry is saying, okay, I'm the best. Forget about it. Neither of you two, pomegranate or apple tree or anything. I'm number one. You two are arguing over who's number two. So that's the story I get. Like, you guys are fighting over who's second fiddle. Okay. Alrighty. And we have the farmer and the stork. Okay. A farmer placed nets on his newly sown plowlands and caught a number of cranes which came to pick up his seed. Um, with them, he trapped a stork that had badly fractured his leg in the net, and was earnestly beseeching the farmer to spare his life. "Pray save me, master," he said. "Let me go free this once. My broken leg should excite your pity. Besides, I am no crane, I am a stork, a bird of excellent character, and see how I love and slave for my father and mother. Look, too, at my feathers. They are not the least like those of a crane. The farmer laughed and said aloud, it may be all you say, but I know only this. I have taken you with these robbers, the cranes, and you must die in their company. Birds of a feather flock together. Okay, so basically, he's capturing these birds because they were eating the seeds he was planting. And the stork thinks that he's a more important bird than the cranes are, and he goes over and so after the farmer captures the cranes and the stork asks for like special treatment, but the farmer basically says, you were stealing my grain too, so I don't care. And basically, the farmer looks like the farmer's going to kill all the birds, and the stork's not going to get any special treatment because he was eating the seed too. So, story, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Okay. Next, Fable, the farmer and the snake. Okay. One winter, a farmer found a snake stiff and frozen in the cold. He had compassion on it, taking it up and placing it on his bosom. The snake was quickly revived by the warmth, and resuming his natural instincts, bit his benefactor, inflicting on him a mortal wound. Oh, cried the farmer with his last breath, I am rightly served for pitying a scoundrel. The greatest kindness will not bend the ungrateful. So basically, Snake is a bad character. The farmer having pity for the snake. Just whenever it got bit and poisoned to death by the snake, it was a mistake to help the snake. That didn't do him any good. Okay. Next fable. That one I've heard before. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Now the next fable. The fawn and his mother. A young fawn once said to his mother, you are larger than a dog and swifter and more used to running, and you have horns as a defense. Why then, O mother, do the hounds frighten you so? She smiled and said, I know full well, my son, that all you say is true. I have advantages you mention, but when I hear even the bark of a single dog, I feel ready to faint and fly away as fast as I can. No arguments will give courage to the coward. Hmm. So, so it's saying that the deer here is cowardly for running away from the dog. I don't know. I think a better lesson would have been if when I hear the dog coming, I know behind the dog will be the man with his bow and arrow. That would have been a better argument, I think, saying that it's a good time to run. but, but in this case, the deer is a coward for running. So I'm not sure what to say about that. That's just. I guess you can't always run. Sometimes you got to stand your ground, and that's the lesson. Not sure if it was the best thought out one, though. Anyway, next one. Okay. The bear and the fox. A bear boasted much of his philanthropy, saying that of all the animals, he was the most tender in regard for man, for he had such respect for him he would not even touch his dead body. A fox, hearing those words, said with a smile to the bear, oh, that you would eat the dead and not the living. Okay. I think he's making a joke here. They know he's not going to go over, and if he finds a dead man, he's not going to go over and eat his dead body, but he will go over and hunt the man and eat him alive. So I think that's the deal. The fox is just going over and thinking, "Oh, you're being clever, bear. You won't eat a dead body that you find, but you'll happily go over and catch a man and eat him alive." So the fox is kind of calling out the bear on how you're being a little clever in what you're saying. Okay. The swallow and the crow. The swallow and the crow had a contention about their plumage. It's like their feathers. Okay. The crow put an end to the dispute by saying, "Your feathers are all very well in the spring, but mine protect me in the winter. Fair weather friends are not worth much." Okay. I'm not exactly sure how. So, crows. Okay. I'm not sure how swallow feathers and crow feathers are different in the spring and winter, actually. Maybe swallows are migratory and have to fly to warmer climates. I'm guessing that maybe crows have thicker feathers and are better suited for going in the winter. I guess that's the lesson is that um, I'm guessing that's the lesson that the crows have sturdier feathers that are suitable for all seasons. That would seem to be the lesson. Okay. Let's see, we're going 41 minutes. I'm going to do about 20 more minutes of these fables. We've only really scratched the surface. There's quite a few more of these to go. So I'll do a few more of these maybe for about 42 minutes. I'll do about 18 more minutes of these fables, and then I think we'll wrap things up here. Okay. So, next fable, The Mountain in Labor. A mountain was once greatly agitated. Loud groans and noises were heard, and crowds of people came from all parts to see what was the matter. While they were assembled in anxious expectation of some terrible calamity, out came a mouse. Don't make much ado about nothing. Okay, so this kind of reminds me of one we haven't gotten to yet, which obviously the boy who cried wolf will be coming up somewhere on this list. But it sounds like the mountain is going over and making lots of noises, like it's being really bothered, and then what is it? And it's just some mouse that's scurrying around on it. So and saying don't make much ado about nothing. I guess it's a little bit different that there was something, there was a mouse, but you're making a big deal out of saying it's not a big deal and you shouldn't do that. Okay. Next fable. The Ass, the Fox, and the Lion. The ass and the fox, having entered into partnership together for their mutual protection, went out into the forest to hunt. They had not proceeded far when they met a lion. The fox, seeing imminent danger, approached the lion and promised to contrive for him the capture of the ass if the lion would pledge his word not to harm the fox. Then, upon hearing the ass that he would not be injured, the fox led him to a deep pit and arranged that he should fall into it. The lion, seeing the ass was secured, immediately clutched the fox and attacked the ass at his leisure. Okay, so this one's kind of complicated. This is like a weird web of alliances here. So I'm going to break this down. Okay, so basically, all right, so you got basically the lion is the predator. The lion's a danger to both. I'm just going to say donkeys. I'm worried about getting in trouble with all these detection things. I'm going to say the donkey. Okay, so the lion's a danger to both the donkey and the fox. Okay, so all right, so the donkey and the lion make a deal that if the lion, let's see, if the lion captures the donkey, the lion won't hurt the fox. Okay, then the fox goes over and deceives the donkey and causes the donkey to fall into a pit. And then once then basically the lion breaks the deal with the fox, and you can assume the lion kills the donkey, and then later after he's taken the donkey's stuck in a pit, and he later goes over and takes care of him later at his leisure. Okay, so the lesson is don't make deals with the devil. And the fox was a real jerk for going over and betraying the donkey in order to try to secure his own safety. Okay. The tortoise and the eagle. All right. A tortoise, lazily basking in the sun, complained to the seabirds of her hard fate, that no one would teach her to fly. An eagle hovering near heard her lamentation and demanded what reward she would give him if he would take him aloft and float her in the air. I would give you, she said, all the riches of the Red Sea. I will teach you that, said the eagle, taking her up in his talons as she carried her almost to the clouds and suddenly let her go. And she fell on a lofty mountain, dashing her shell to pieces. The tortoise exclaimed in the moment of death, I have deserved my present fate, for what had I to do with wings and clouds who can, with difficulty, move about on the earth? If men had all they wished, they would be if men had all they wished, they would be often ruined. Okay, so I think this actually does happen in real life that like eagles will go over and grab tortoises, lift them up, and drop them to break the shells on them and then eat them. Um, Basically, so the tortoise barely can move around much on Earth, but it wanted more to be able to fly, and tortoise's reward was getting killed, being dropped from the. So I guess Aesop doesn't really have any real favorite animals. Like the tortoise in one story wins the race, in this story, tortoise gets dropped from the sky. Some animals are always bad, like the wolf is always bad in these stories. Foxes are sometimes clever and that win, and in other cases, like the fox, if the lion loses. Tortoises sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's interesting, but there doesn't seem to be an animal that always wins in these stories. Anyway, all right. Next one, the flies and the honey pot. Okay, a number of flies were attracted to a jar of honey which had overturned in a housekeeper's room, and placing their feet in it, ate greedily. Their feet, however, became so smeared with the honey that they could not use their wings nor release themselves, and they were suffocated. Just as they were expiring, they exclaimed, "Oh, foolish creatures that we are! For the sake of a little pleasure, we have destroyed ourselves. Pleasure brought with pain hurts." Now, that one is self explanatory. Overindulging in certain things can bring you bad news. In this case, honey for the flies and other things for people. And poor flies, they went over and got themselves in a jam. All right. Okay, next one. The man and the lion. Okay. A man and a lion traveled together through the forest. They soon began to boast of their respective superiority to each other in strength and prowess. As they were disputing, they passed a statue carved in stone, which represented a lion strangled by a man. The traveler pointed to it and said, "See there, how strong we are, and how we prevail over even the king of beasts." The lion replied, "This statue was made by one of you men. If we lions knew how to erect statues, you would see the man placed under the paw of the lion. One story is good till another is told." So it's kind of similar to like history is written by the winners. Well, kind of. It's kind of like the statues are made by man, so man will tell his story, but lions don't make statues, so they can't tell their story. Seems like lions usually come out on top on these fables. I haven't read any where the lion ends up losing. There's been a couple, like the mouse and the lion gets humbled, but I haven't seen one yet where the lion loses. Um, Maybe there's one here where the lion actually loses, but so far, if you're going to be an animal in a Aesop's fable, you want to be a lion. Okay. We got another one with farmers and cranes. Okay. All right. The farmer and the cranes. Okay. This reminds me of the farmer and the stork. Let's see how this one goes. Okay. Wait, this looks. Okay, this looks really similar. Okay, let's see. Some cranes made their feeding grounds on some plowlands newly sown with wheat. For a long time, the farmer, brandishing an empty sling, chased them away by terror he inspired. But when the birds found the sling was only swung in the air, they ceased to take any notice and would not move. The farmer, on seeing this, charged his sling with stones and killed a great number. The remaining birds at once forsook his fields, crying to each other, "It is time we be off to Lilliput, for this man is no longer content to scare us, but begins to show us in earnest what he can do. If words suffice not, blows must follow." All right, so basically, he was just flinging his sling in the air, trying to scare them off. But when they noticed he was just firing dummy shots. They didn't fly away. Then he actually puts rocks in and starts killing them. Basically, no more Mr. Nice Guy. And when it became no more Mr. Nice Guy, they got the heck out of there. So again, it says here, words suffice not, blows must follow. So I guess it's like if people won't listen to you, then you have to take stronger action. Okay. All right. Next fable. The dog in the manger. A dog lay in a manger, and by his growling and snapping, prevented the oxen from eating the hay which had been placed for them. "What a selfish dog," said one of them to his companions. "But he cannot eat hay by himself, yet he refuses to allow those to eat who can." Okay, so yeah, dogs can't eat hay. Yeah, because they're not that type of animal. All right, oxes can eat hay, or oxen can eat hay, but the dog just goes over and bites at the oxen who want to eat the hay. So the dog's just being a jerk. He can't eat the hay, but he's preventing the oxen who want the hay from eating it. Just being a jerk, basically. Don't be a jerk. Okay, Okay, the fox and the goat. Okay, a fox one day fell in a. I think. Oh, I've heard this one before. I know this one. The fox one day fell in a deep well and could find no means of escape. A goat, overcome with thirst, came to the same well, and seeing the fox, inquired if the water was good. Concealing his sad plight under a merry guise, the fox indulged in lavish praise of the water, saying it was excellent beyond measure, encouraging him to descend. The goat, mindful only of his thirst, thoughtlessly jumped down, but just as he drank, the fox informed him of the difficulty they were both in and suggested a scheme for their escape. If, said he, you place your forefeet upon the wall and bend your head, I will run up your back and escape, and I will help you out otherwards. The goat readily assented, and the fox leapt on his back, steadying himself on the goat's horns. He reached the mouth of the well and made off as fast as he could. When the goat upbraided him for breaking his promise and turned and cried out, "You foolish old fellow, if you had as many brains as in your head as you have hairs in your beard, you never would have gone down before you had inspected the way up, nor exposed yourself to dangers from which you had no means of escape. Look before you leap." Yeah, I'd heard that one before, but yeah, probably everyone's heard the saying, "Look before you leap." So the goat basically was a fool for going down into the well. And the fox goes over and sees his chance. He cons the fox into jumping down, and now the fox is able to get out of the well. Now, what does the goat do? I mean, now the goat's going to have to either he's going to starve to death in the well, or he's going to have to find someone else to con into going down to the well to jump off of them. And the lesson is look before you leap. Okay. All right. The bear and the two travelers. Two men were traveling together when a bear suddenly met them on their path. One of them climbed up quickly into a tree and concealed himself in the branches. The other, seeing that he must be attacked, fell flat on the ground. And when the bear came up and felt him with his snout and smelt him all over, he held his breath and feigned the appearance of death as much as he could. The bear soon left him, for it is said he will not touch a dead body. When he was quite gone, the other traveler descended from the tree and jocularly inquired of his friend what it was the bear had whispered in his ear. "He gave me this advice," his companion replied. "Never travel with a friend who deserts you at the approach of danger. Misfortune tests the sincerity of friends." So the bear actually goes over and feels sorry for the guy and actually is saying that your friend isn't a very good friend. What a deal. Okay, we're at 58 minutes. This is going to be the last one. This will be our last one. The oxen and the axle trees. Okay. What is it? I know what an axle is, but what's an axle tree? Well, let's just read this fable and see. A heavy wagon was being dragged along a country lane by a team of oxen. The axle trees groaned and creaked terribly, whereupon the oxen, turning around, thus addressed the wheels. "Hello there. Why do you make so much noise? We bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out. Those who suffer the most cry out the least." Okay, so the axles are crying. Okay, so the axles are crying. I guess they call it I don't know what they call it, axle trees. I guess back in the old days they would just just chop a tree and put the full trunk of the tree there as the axle. Okay. So it's the oxen do not address the weight. So the tree's grown and so the oxen are going over and saying to the oxen are saying to the axles and wheels that they're doing all the work. They're pulling the wagon. Okay, whereas they're just the wheels and axles are just rolling around. So why is it that they're crying out when it's the oxen who are doing the work? Okay, so those who suffer the most cry the least. But it's the squeaky wheel who gets the grease, and wheels and axles, that's what you give grease to, right? So there you go. All right. Well, that was an hour of me reading through some Aesop's fables, and there's still quite a few more to go on this list. So maybe we'll do some more of these later. Anyway, I've enjoyed talking with you. I'm not sure we had a whole lot of people show up on this live stream, but hopefully you'll catch me on archives and hopefully things will get a little more popular later. And when they do, then you can always catch this in archives later. But this was our first episode, October 11, 2024. Thank you so much for catching me, and I'll be back again soon. Bye bye.